In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to create a speech bubble in Inkscape using path effects, which are non-destructive. First, we're going to draw a circle for our speech bubble. We'll select the ellipse tool in the tool box here, and then we'll draw the circle on the canvas. Observe that this circle is black by default. To change the color of the circle, we can click on the colors on the palette down here while the circle is selected. This changes the fill color, which is the color inside the circle. We want to make the contour of the circle black. This is called the stroke color in Inkscape. To select the stroke color, click on a color on the palette while holding the Shift key. Doing this will make the stroke appear. It's a bit hard to see, so let's make the fill white. Here it is, the main part of our speech bubble. Next, we're going to make this stroke thicker. To do this, we're going to the menu bar, and we'll click on Object, Fill, and Stroke. This will make a panel appear on the right side where we can choose the color of the fill of the stroke and where we can change other properties of the stroke. We'll click on Stroke Style to change the properties, and then we'll type a new size for our stroke width. Now that we have a circle, the next step is to create the small protrusion from the speech bubble that points to who is speaking something. First, let's go to the toolbox and select the pen tool. Then we can click 3 times on the canvas to draw a triangle of straight lines and click a 4th time to connect the line back to the starting point. This will create a shape with the same settings we had selected for the circle. Next, we'll go to the toolbox and select the node tool. With this tool and the triangle shape selected, we can drag the lines of the triangle shape to make them curved. This looks good enough. The next step is to merge this triangle with the circle. If we simply drag it toward the circle, it's going to be drawn over the circle, which is not what we want. We want these two shapes to create a single shape with a single contour, with a single outline. How can we do this? First, let's select our circle shape. Then we'll go to the menu bar and click on the Path menu, then on Path Effects. This will open a new side panel on the right side. We'll click on this arrow here to add a new path effect. The path effect that we want is called a boolean operation. This sounds complicated, but it's a very common term for this kind of thing in computing. Simply adding the path effect doesn't seem to do anything. We have to configure it first. You can see here that we have a button with a clipboard icon that has a tooltip that reads Link to Item. This button is important, but we aren't going to click on it yet. First, we need to select the part that we want to merge with the circle, which is our triangle thing. Observe that when the triangle is selected, the path effect disappears. That's because each object in Inkscape has a separate list of path effects. We added a path effect to the circle, but not to the triangle, so while the triangle is selected, the path effect doesn't appear. We're going to go to the menu bar and click on Edit Copy. You may already be familiar with this basic command. Normally, when we copy something, it's to paste it with Ctrl-V, so there are multiple copies of it. However, that's not what we're going to do this time. We aren't going to create copies of the triangle, so let me undo this with Ctrl-Z. Here is how we add a shape to the boolean operation path effect. First, we select the triangle, then we have to copy the triangle, and after that, we have to select the circle that has the path effect, and we click on the button with the clipboard icon on the Path Effects panel. If we do this right, Inkscape will link the object that we copied to the path effect. In other words, copying the object and pressing this button is how we tell Inkscape what is the object that should be merged with the circle. We don't need to paste the object or create copies of it. We simply copy the object and then press the button in the Path Effects panel. Now that these two objects are merged, we can move the triangle separately and it stays merged, creating a single outline instead of displaying one object on top of the other. By the way, the reason this path effect is called boolean operation is because it supports all sorts of boolean operation. If we choose the difference operation, for example, one object is going to subtract the shape of the other object. It's a bit difficult to tell because the fill color is white, but the triangle is creating a hole in the circle as we move it. Let's return this to the merge operation. The merge operation is called union, so we'll select that. While the two objects are unified, we can drag them around and resize them as a group, which can be very convenient. But what if we want to resize or move only the circle? To do this, we can temporarily disable the path effect. In the Path Effects panel, you'll find a button with an icon of an eye. If we press this eye icon, it becomes a closed eye and the effect becomes hidden. Now we can reselect and modify the circle separately. Let's make some adjustments so it looks more like a normal speech bubble. After we're done, we can click on the closed eye button to enable the path effect again. This is how you make a speech bubble in Inkscape using path effects. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.